Hello everybody and welcome back to the chassis series. Continuing on with the Crusader that we started last week. This is the 5K model of the Crusader. It's one of the few mechs in MWO currently that comes default with MRMs. In fact, its loadout is a pair of MRM 30s, one split between each arm, with a pair of ER medium lasers split between the side torsos, and finally the CT has two medium pulse lasers. It has 11 double heatsinks by default with a 260XL engine. I know a lot of people are going to hate that, and more MRM ammo than sense. Now, this is a slightly modified version ammo-wise that I did because there's just way too much ammo and not enough time to use it all. By default, if you look at it in the mech lab, it comes with about 2,000 rounds of MRM ammo split between the two launchers. I don't think you could actually stay under heat long enough to fire both of those and run out of ammo before a match is over, to be honest. If you pick this up, just switch out some of the ammo for, I don't know, either case, a light fusion engine if you don't like the XL, something along those lines. The mech, though, in tabletop and in Battletech's lore, was designed in the early 3060s, debuting in 3063 by Cosby Battle Mech Works. An unfortunate name these days. They wanted to make use of a lot of Kuritan's new weapon systems, including the MRM system, which is largely a Kuritan weapon system, though it does see use by some mercs outside of their Great House territories. It is equipped with the standard Kuritan C3 unit, which isn't present in MWO, obviously, and it has some advanced targeting and tracking software. It's got about 12 tons of armor. Overall, 65 tons, it's not bad. It's a pretty decent build on tabletop. You can get some good use out of it, and it can do a lot of damage with a good die roll. In MWO, I have to say that although I like it, it's a really straightforward build. It's right on my alley. 3 weapon groups is a perfect fit for me. It's still way too hot, and I've got this thing with 91 skill points, as many of the heat buffs as I can get, and it still struggles to keep under heat with the weapon systems. Potential damage-wise, it's good. It's equipped with jump jets as well, so it's a little bit more maneuverable. And yes, a lot of people are going to internally cringe when it's the idea of having to use an XL engine, and yes, you probably can squeeze this build in with sacrificing here and there to get a standard engine or a light fusion engine, but pretty much out of the box when you buy this thing, it has virtually no free space on it. In fact, you have to remove a ton of ammo just to free up enough room, unless you want to mess around with some of the other equipment it has, swapping doubles for singles, that kind of thing. But overall, the mech is okay. Obviously, weapons hardpoint wise, by default, you've got a minimum of 4 energy hardpoints spread across the side torsos and the CT, and you've got some missile hardpoints in the arms. Big downside though. Although the ER medium lasers in the side torsos are higher mounted, which is better than the standard 3R, all the other weaponry is quite low down, which means you're going to end up in scenarios in MWO traditionally where you can see a target, but you might not necessarily be able to get the hits that you want. It means you have to expose more of the mech to fire, which is kind of bad, especially when friendlies back up into your arms, as you saw there. But it means that the mech ends up in a scenario where it's going to struggle unless it's got a nice flat plane to shoot across, or it's got a target above it. The other problem is that although it's got 12 tons of armor by default, in MWO that's not really a lot, and this thing is basically maxed out on its armor as well, and it still feels very, very, very thin-skinned. It feels like the mech can fall apart very quickly. The Crusader in this game doesn't really feel like the frontline fighter it should be. It feels more like a kind of specialized fire support unit. You bring this in with whatever build you've got and you focus down on a target. This is probably the highlight of the match for me, where I go toe-to-toe with a Blood Asp, and granted, in one of its side torsos were open, and yes, I fully took advantage of that. I mean, attacking a clan assault mech in a 65-ton Innisphere Crusader, I'm not insane. But you can see the heat issues there that I'm suffering. It's the mech is just too goddamn hot. After a short burst of fire, you're running the red line, which means you've got to bring cool shot or you've got to make some changes. Obviously, a simple change if you want to keep the same build is switching the pulses to medium lasers and switching the ERs down to medium, so you lose a little bit of range, but you've got a bit more heat management there. That said, it's still effective. I'd say so far I'm feeling that the hitboxes on the Crusader feel fairly balanced, fairly equal, though not perfect. The side torsos are obviously one of the things that are going to be opened up first. They are quite large visually and physically on the mech, so I would definitely pay attention if you were going to customize this thing. Probably yes, the first thing you're going to want to get rid of is the XL engine. The hilarious part I love about it is whenever they put case in. Oh, the build says it has case, so we'll stick that in. That's great, but XL engines in this game are just insta-death. Plus, by the way, all the ammo is in the side torso, so the first thing that's going to happen anyway, regardless of your cases, your side torso explodes. Yay, the case stopped the ammo explosion. Yeah, but your side torso exploded because of an XL engine. Oh, I'm dead anyway. So it really doesn't make any difference. Overall, I do like it. It's kind of speedy. It's got the potential. I think if you were running this with a lance of players who are all quite mobile with nice hit and run builds, this is a really good complement to that. It can bring some nasty firepower. You could easily modify this to be like a streak boat, or something that can engage faster, lighter units with streaks, or switching it to something like just dumbfire SRMs if you don't want to do the MRM build, and play around with it that way. I am enjoying the Crusader so far. It's still one of those things of, if you like the nostalgia of the Crusader, you should grab it. If you're just happy to see a new mech, I wouldn't say no to someone buying it. It's the only way PGI are going to add more mechs is if people buy the packs. So if you do want to see them continue, I'd keep that in mind. But that's the end of that round. I did pretty good, I feel, for myself, and that's the end of that match. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you all next week for another Crusader gameplay version, video, variant series, whatever the hell this thing is called at this point. And that's the cat scratching the lampshade around her neck. Goodbye.